Hi, you're welcome to the year 2020. My name is Nana Osei Bonsu Jr. and this is Analyze This. And as you know, on Analyze This, we don't discuss people, we discuss issues and we discuss ideas, because we believe that together, if we can critically analyze issues and ideas, we'll be able to come to a better conclusion. So here we look at issues and we analyze issues critically, devoid of emotions and sentiments, in order for us to arrive at a better conclusion. And today we are going to continue with our discussion. I believe today is going to be the part 4 of the analysis of the program, The Seed Show, on Net2 TV, entitled Who is Behind the Mask? We're going to analyze the last one, which was telecasted, I believe, a week ago on Net2 TV, and I must say, it's very worrisome, especially hearing the Chief Justice, the new Chief Justice, talking about accepting gifts. Let me clarify this. You see, when we talk about gifts, we make it look as if it is only a cultural thing in Ghana. That is not true. Gift is a cultural thing in every society. In every society, gift is practiced in every society. But in some societies, they've been able to enact laws or rules governing gifts, how much, or the value of gifts that can be received by public officials, which I believe that in Ghana we should be able to establish those rules as to the value or how much a public official can be given as a gift. Because if we don't do that, it will be difficult for us to fight corruption, the killer of our economy, the killer of our country and Africa as a whole. So we should be able to define how much a public official can accept as a gift and how much a public official cannot accept as a gift. Because if we don't do that, we're opening the floodgates for corruption, which we all know it's already swallowing us. Corruption is swallowing us in that country. But if we really are serious about fighting corruption, then we should be able to define the parameters within which gift is acceptable and gift is not acceptable for our public officials in our country. Because we need that. We need that in order for us to be able to fight corruption. And I was very troubled when I heard the new Chief of Justice talking about the fact that Chief Justice talking about the fact that he would accept gifts. That is very worrisome. So as a nation, I believe that this is about the time we think about enacting laws governing gifts for public officials. Because if we don't do that, we're in for trouble. All right, I have a few things here. One of the things I want us to look at is one Che Baforo who spoke on the program. And he spoke about the fact that Kwesi Nyantakyi was on his way to become the boss, the FIFA boss. And so we should have left him, or we should have encouraged him to be the FIFA boss. You see, this is the mindset that I believe we need to change from. What are we teaching the younger generation? If somebody is on its way to power, irrespective of the values, irrespective of the principles of that person, you want us to support him. Even if the person is corrupt, even if the person has no values to teach our younger people. So what we are telling the younger generation is that it's okay. It's okay to use any means necessary to acquire power. That is exactly what we are telling our younger generation. If you want us to support Kwesi Nyantakyi to become the next FIFA boss, and he is not exhibiting any principle or any good sense of values, then what are we teaching our younger generation? This is a very serious issue. I don't care if he's on his way to become the FIFA boss. What kind of FIFA boss are we going to produce? Is it a FIFA boss who will stand by principles, a FIFA boss who will teach us values, or a FIFA boss who is corrupt? This is very serious, folks. We just can't close our eyes to values and to principles and to integrity just because somebody is on his way to grab power. I mean, are we serious as a nation if we have to close our eyes to some of these things, to vices, just because the person is on his way to be the FIFA boss? Please, let's think about some of these utterances we make on national television because we have our younger generation watching. Because he's on his way to be the FIFA boss. Let's close our eyes to the vices. Are we serious? If we really want to fight corruption, if we really want to build a country, if we really want to build a generation of people who can stand and say, we stand by principles, we stand by values, and so this is how things are going to be done. These are some of the things I want us to think about and analyze. One of the things they spoke about on the program was the fact that President Putin of Russia said African managers, because I find it difficult to call them leaders. So the African leaders don't exhibit power on the world stage or to the international community. So they claim that what Putin is saying means that we are our own enemies. We bite each other. We don't support each other. I beg to differ, but from my understanding, and anybody can have a different opinion, but I believe that Putin was talking about the fact that Africans don't present themselves, or we do present ourselves as weak leaders to the international community because our so-called leaders go about with cup in hand begging for money. And if you are a beggar, you have no choice. Anything can be handed down to you, including how you live your life. And that is what is happening to us on the international scene. Because our leaders, our so-called leaders, managers of our economies, the managers of our countries, who are supposed to coordinate and cultivate the resources of our land in order for them to build a great nation, or to build great nations in Africa, they don't do that. They rather go about cup in hand, begging for money, and when they are given the money, they come back home and loot the same money they went about begging for. And so that does not give our managers any spine or any backbone to be able to stand and declare their stance on the international community. Because you're a beggar, you go about begging. And that is what I believe President Putin is talking about. Let us cultivate our resources. Let us coordinate our resources and build great nations in Africa, that which will give us a strong backbone and a spine to be able to stand on the international scene and declare our strength to the international community. That is what Putin was talking about. And what is going on in Ghana and in Africa, please, that cannot give us the backbone. It will always make us present ourselves as weak people on the international market or the international scene. Putin can declare his strength to the international community. Why? Because he has been able to coordinate his resources. He has been able to cultivate his resources, even though Russia is not one of the biggest economies in the world. But because they have self-worth, they know their value, they can declare their strength wherever they go. And so that is what President Putin is telling African leaders. Build your nations. Stop running around begging for money, which devalues you, which degrades you. The richest continent in the world is being inhabited by the poorest people in the world. What an irony. And that is what President Putin is talking about. Let us cultivate our people. Let us build our people so we can have a backbone to declare our strength in the international scene. I believe that is what President Putin is talking about. Let's think of these things on these lines, and not because Africans are backbiting or we are our own enemies. Yes, because our so-called leaders go about begging for money, come back home and steal the same money. So these are some of the things I want us to think about. Also, they spoke about the fact that, I believe I've already spoken to this issue the last time, about the fact that ANALYZ is washing our dirty linen in public for the international community. This is ridiculous, because like I said the other time, the international community knows of our dirty linen. As a matter of fact, they help us make our linen dirty. The international community help us make our linen dirty. So they know about all these dirty linens. And us just exposed them to us. Those of us in the country who don't know what's going on. So the international community, please, rest that case. They know about all the dirty things our politicians are doing. And the people we vote into office, they know about all the dirty things they're doing. So it does not take the societies and the pressure groups and the investigative journalists to wash our dirty linens in public. It takes our politicians. Those are the ones who are exposing our dirty linens in public when they go to the international community to go beg for money and steal the money they beg for. They know it. So please, don't let us buy that idea that it's those who are fighting corruption are the ones exposing our dirty linen to the world. That's not true. And finally, to speak about this particular issue, one of the concerns of Net2 TV is the fact that the other media houses are not picking up these issues. But I just want to ask, has it also occurred to them that probably the other media houses analyze these issues and they realize that it has no value? It does not have the weight Net2 TV probably want us to believe it does. So probably that is why they don't see the need to carry it. Because Net2 TV cannot convince me or like-minded people like me to believe that they are the only media house in Ghana. Of about hundreds of media houses in Ghana, they are the only ones who see substance in these so-called allegations. Think about it. Analyze it. So, if every media house is corrupt, it takes almost all. We have a whole bunch of media houses in Ghana now. Over 100 media houses. And all of them are corrupt except for Net2 TV. Please think about it. We are still going to be following the C Show and the program Who is Behind the Mask. And we would analyze these programs and other programs. This year we have a whole lot of programs coming. We're going to be analyzing a whole bunch of stuff, not just in Ghana, but on the continent of Africa. We are putting our binoculars on the continent of Africa. And so we are going to be analyzing some of the issues happening in some other parts of Africa. And together we will jaw. Together we'll analyze, think critically, devoid of emotions, and we would arrive at a better conclusion, because we believe that by so doing we will build a generation of thinkers who would not be swayed by any wind of doctrine. So we'll be alert that nobody would just throw dust in our eyes. Thank you for taking your time to be with us, and we believe that 2020 we are going to be doing a lot more of these discussions, and we are going to come your way with some exciting stuff. Stay with us, support us, share us, like us, and together we will build that solid community where you cannot take us for granted. Thank you. God bless you. Bye-bye.